Why do political leaders always demand death penalty for rape? Watch the video till the end because this issue needs your attention.
Justice, justice! Justice, justice!
ऐसा केस हो कि रेपिस्ट को फांसी हो।
আমরা চেয়েছিলাম 7 দিনের মধ্যে ফাস্ট ট্র্যাক কোর্টের মধ্যে দিয়ে আমরা ফাঁসি করে দেব।
बहुत बार मैंने इस तरह के कृत्यों के लिए कहा है कि ऐसे लोगों को फांसी की सजा होनी चाहिए।
बहुत सख्त कार्रवाई होना चाहिए, कैपिटल पनिशमेंट होना चाहिए शाहजहां।
जैसे वाला क्राइम जो कर रहा है मौत का सजा दे।
When a doctor was brutally raped and murdered in Kolkata's RG Kar hospital, the city was out on the streets demanding justice for the victim. One of the very first moves by the West Bengal government was to demand death penalty for the rapist from the prosecutors. Soon after, the government passed a bill in the state assembly called the Aparajita Bill or the Anti-Rape Bill, where it demanded amendments in the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita to have death penalty in all cases of rape. The bill even received full support from the opposition in the assembly. But Mamata Banerjee is not the first politician who called for death penalty in the wake of a rape case which gained public attention. The same call was heard from Manipur CM N. Biren Singh when a disturbing sexual assault video of 2 women from Manipur went viral in 2023. In 2019, when another doctor was gang raped and murdered in Hyderabad, State Minister K.T. Rama Rao urged Prime Minister Narendra Modi to amend the IPC and CRPC and make death penalty mandatory for rape. During 2012 Nirbhaya case, which stirred the entire country, Sushma Swaraj, one of the strongest female parliamentarians, demanded death penalty as a solution to rape. But why? A 2021 study by Equality Now and Dignity Alliance International, which shares survivor stories from South Asian countries, show that the victims do not demand death penalty. Instead, what they call for are quick trials, certain convictions, sensitivity and accountability. A report called Death Penalty and the Victims by United Nations Human Rights shows that what victims need are support and recovery rather than harsh punishments for the perpetrators. Then why does the society headed by political leaders keep on demanding death penalty? To discuss this, we spoke to Dr. Jaydip Sarkar. Dr. Sarkar is a consultant forensic psychiatrist currently working in Australia. He studies criminal minds, behavioral patterns, and society's contributions and reaction to such specific crimes. He is a key advisor to police, lawyers, courts, and policymakers to manage offenders and prepare for future risks to public. His testimony in court led to a groundbreaking sentence and change in legal practice in death penalty cases in Singapore. Let's see what he has to say. First of all, can you please tell me, is there any scientific data which shows that having a death penalty can prevent rape or impact its crime rate?
My kind of understanding of the bill, the Aparajita bill that was introduced in the Legislative Assembly in West Bengal, is that it's making recommendations to amend the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita and to introduce death penalty for all cases of rape. I'm not sure if that has kind of become a law yet. But that's what the state government would like. But in terms of scientific evidence, there is no data that I have seen which suggests that death penalty can reduce the number of rapes or change people's behavior when it comes to sexual violence. And it's not just with regards to rapes. In fact, death penalty does not work even for other offenses such as murder or treason or crimes like those. And there is absolutely no evidence. Most of it which come from the United States because they're the ones who have done most research. There is no evidence that in the states of the US where the death penalty exists versus states where the death penalty does not exist, that there is a substantial reduction in murder rates where the death penalty does exist. In fact, the reality is just the opposite. The murder rates are much lower in the states where there is no death penalty. So that argument that life for a life or eye for an eye does not pass the test really. So I haven't seen any evidence with regards to rape. Well, India is one of 31 countries where death penalty exists for the crime of rape, and none of these states have ever published any data to suggest that it works.
Considering what is the public opinion, I was speaking to people from Kolkata, and who were very enraged at the time. They were all in support of the capital punishment bill. Now, one of the arguments whenever I ask them that why do you support the death penalty is that they feel it will instill some form of fear in someone who in any rapist, because you know their mentality, because you have studied them for years. Do you think that argument stands, that they will actually feel fear if there's a law, death penalty law, and not commit the act?
Well, we can look at it in sort of two steps. The first step is death penalty does exist for serious crimes like murder. When you take someone's life, whether there is rape or not, you can face the capital punishment. All right. And as we have just said, that there is no evidence that taking the life of the offender leads to any fear in other offenders or potential offenders who will then kind of stop and think and not commit those crimes. Essentially, this is known as the deterrence principle, that by strict and harsh punishment, you deter other people from committing those crimes. There is no evidence that deterrence works. What does work is people's need for vengeance. When someone is killed or someone is heinously raped and then killed, the public gets very angry, and they demand some kind of revenge. And capital punishment provides the society and the public and the government and everyone with that sense of revenge, because the person who is gone is gone already. And there's no way that the people can come to terms with that loss unless they take another life. So that satisfies their urge for vengeance. But there is no evidence that it instills fear in the minds of offenders or future offenders. With regards to rape, you might remember back in 2012, 2013, there was this sort of very publicized case of Nirbhaya in Delhi. It was, in fact, after that incident that death penalty was clamored for by all in Indian society. And there was a 3-member commission that was set up called the Verma Commission, the job of which was to look into speedy trials, fast-track court speedy trials, and enhanced punishment. They made lots and lots of recommendations, but the one recommendation that they did not make is to bring in death penalty for rape. In fact, they said that it would be a very regressive step in the field of punishment and reformation. All right. Now, why do people feel that there will be fear instilled in the hearts of potential offenders so that they will not commit such offense? I'm not sure. I think people are simply speculating based on what they might feel. But they are not offenders. They're not thinking like criminals. They're not living in that world. They're people like you and me. Now, since that case, Nirbhaya case, in a highly publicized and televised and talked about, probably the most in Indian history of crime, there was a fast-track court set up, and the 4 accused, but there were 5 actually, one committed suicide in prison, but the 4 convicted were executed in 2020. So the whole process took about 8 years, which is very quick by death penalty standards, because death penalty cases take a very long time because there are lots of legal procedures that one can go through. Now you would expect that since that execution of 4 people, not one, in 2020, the rape rates would have come down in India. Well, funnily, they have gone in the other direction. If you set aside the 2 years of COVID, 2020 and 2021, where the rates of cases being reported to the police and cases being prosecuted were very poor because of for COVID reasons, where the rape rates were low, the rates are the highest now that they've ever been. We have 93 or 95 rapes a day in India, which is like 1 every 15 seconds. So clearly, there is that evidence which suggests that the taking of 4 lives did not really lead to reduction in the number of rapes. But more importantly, what is quite unknown to people generally is that nearly 40% or over 40% rapes are committed by men who know the woman. So the victim generally knows the offender who commits rape. And about 12 to 15% of those cases are family members. It could be fathers, brothers, uncles, male family members who commit rape to incestual relationship leading to sexual violence.
Right.
But even outside of those close family members, you could have family friends, you could have people that you know in the workplace, etc. So 40% of them are known. These victims are often unlikely to report such incidents to the police because there's the fear that another family member could potentially die if they are convicted. There's lots of pressure on the person to keep shut. And conversely, if you think about fear being stoked in the hearts of rapists, they are more likely to end up killing the rape victim in order to silence her, rather than risk her going to the police after a rape incident if they know that death penalty is one of the possibilities.
Right.
So there are various reasons that actually suggest that thinking that people will be frightened into not committing rape is not borne out by both common sense and by evidence.
Okay, something that you just right now said, I will draw my next question from that you and I, we do not think, or the people who are making these arguments, we do not think like the offender. Please tell us, how does this offender actually think?